Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Legacy of the Void campaign on Rocket Rabbit Commentaries of StarCraft 2, and in this episode we'll be doing Rak'Shir! I don't like this mission. I don't. It's honestly a relatively simple mission. We get to play tug-of-war with Malash and Alarak for the entire mission. Also, Malash gets access to the hybrid dominators, which is, you know, a problem for me.
They appear quite evenly matched.
This is true.
Yes, not unlike Aku Aku and Uka Uka in Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped.
Our warriors will be able to aid Alarak, but likewise, the Tal'Darim can
That is a destroyer class Void Ray up there. You'll notice that it has a red beam and it has chain lightning attached to it. That is why we're running the destroyer over the normal Void Ray. The normal Void Ray gets higher single target damage, but to be perfectly honest, higher single target damage only really matters in a couple of later missions, and it's not really all that important for this mission specifically.
to aid Malash shortly. We should ensure Alarak has sufficient reinforcements.
We're working on it.
Malash is drawing power from the Tal'Darim. Alarak will need the support of our warriors.
Okay, this is the first mission that I had to do an actual reset on during the recording, and I was really pissed because this mission usually doesn't give me all that much shit. But a couple of really big things happened during the failed take that I want to go over. Specifically, if you don't actually finish this mission in 15 minutes, Malash gets the ability to effectively generate hybrid units pretty much at will, and it's relatively difficult when we're running the destroyer variant of the Void Ray in order to deal with larger units. The destroyer Void Ray is honestly the best variant of the Void Ray of the two that we get, because although there are 3 assault ships, there's only 2 variants for Void Rays. It is a thing that I will cover slightly later when we unlock the final one. But destroyers are not honestly all that good against single target. A lot of this mission is us micromanaging the tug of war between Alarak and Malash, and attempting to figure out decent ways of getting the bonus objectives.
Where is Alarak's health bar?
Alarak doesn't have a health bar.
I see. So he is, he's basically
Alarak and Malash are
walking,
immortal for this fight.
He's a walking fixture, a floating fixture, if you will.
Yeah. You can support Alarak with as much or as few units as you want, and he will always be pushing forward, assuming that he has got more units around him than Malash does. But the big problem is Malash gets the benefit of having this area mostly fully entrenched, and it is extremely difficult for us to actually entrench anything beyond this mostly free secondary base. Because everything on the map is effectively got stuff on it already.
So the first step before you start concentrating on Malash is to take out the entrenchments, because that is his advantage, is already having units on the field ready to push back Alarak into the pit of sacrifice.
You would think that's what I should do, but to be perfectly honest, I am so paranoid about not being able to get the Solarite objectives that I end up focusing those down first. I do end up taking down two of the 3 major encampments whilst we're going for the Solarite, but I'm very paranoid about losing the Solarite. It's not that there's a specific time limit for it. It's that if I'm not paying attention to these fights, we actually lose these fights more often than we win them, despite the fact that it's 1 unit.
Well done, warriors. The first beast has been slain.
We'll be spamming stalkers for almost the entirety of this mission, simply because it takes us a long time in order to get out enough Void Rays. Whereas if we open up with a second gateway immediately, we can just pop out stalkers like it's nobody's business.
I couldn't help but notice that the mini-map will put an arrow that is green
Yes,
for
it'll put an
good
arrow depending
Alarak.
on if a Malash or Alarak is winning.
Right, that it's green for Alarak is pushing Malash, and it's red for Malash is pushing Alarak.
Yep.
Because I haven't seen any arrows on the mini-map before this, indicating trajectory and also is this good or is this bad.
You should have noticed the arrows of Kerrigan's warpath during the first mission of the prologue.
I did not.
Okay.
I just think it's cool.
Honestly, I really wish I had given up on a balanced faction representation at this point, because although the Whirlwind Zealots are cool, they're not actually useful for this fight. I would really prefer to have Centurion Zealots here, but I don't. So,
Huh, that was an explosion.
My vengeance will not be delayed. Send me your warriors.
I'm working on it, Alarak.
Yeah, I get it. You're giving me a cue to say you don't like the red arrow pointing you because now you got your back to the wall right now, and now you're at a standstill.
Beast's coordinates. Warping it aboard.
While we slay the slain.
Honestly, this fight goes very poorly for us. I'm trying to micromanage my units successfully, but I'm not very good at blink juggling my stalkers, to be perfectly honest.
Spawn directly.
The thing that I was doing during my original runs was I would put 2 pylons at the very front of the Pit of Sacrifice on Alarak's side, and then just be able to spawn units directly there whenever I needed to. It works, it's just not as effective as I want it to be.
Nah, you don't, because that contingency only comes into play if Alarak gets pushed back that far.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't, then you're just putting resources there needlessly that could be doing other things.
Yeah.
We are one.
All right. So our primary unit is mostly met up with Alarak again. I want to put a second Nexus here, but I don't think I end up actually putting a second Nexus during this attempt. Mostly what I'm doing is using this as a method of having vision in this area to use orbit reinforcements.
So,
But we're going for the third solo right now.
So this is one of those missions that takes as long as it takes. There's no time limit on this mission. It's because if Alarak gets
there
pushed
technically
back,
is a time limit. If you get to 25 minutes and you not win the mission, Malash is gonna win because he can generate because around 25 minutes, Malash gets the ability to effectively generate hybrid units for free, and it's possible for us. It is definitely possible for us to fight hybrid units that he's generating for free, but it's not efficient at all. So, you know, you want to try and win before that happens. As seen here, several of these encampments on the path actually have hybrid units stationed here that are a bit more difficult for us to take down because we don't start off with much. The big thing about Rak'Shir that I dislike is how very little we start with. We start with a gateway, a nexus, and like 5 probes, as well as 2 stalkers and 2 void rays. That's not really much of a base, to be perfectly honest.
am I to understand we gotta push Malash all the way to that
green
mark?
pulse sign.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and there's like 4 base, and there's effectively 2 more bases to go through in order for us to get that. Now the slain elementals have the interesting ability to lock your units in stasis, which is why these fights always end up being a crapshoot for me. Mostly because I try to have my units just go all in on the slain elemental, and then half my units will be stasis in under a minute. It's not fun to have all of your units under stasis. And now we get a gross joke.
I have all of them. My preliminary scans indicate that the solarite deposits are a byproduct of the beast's unusual digestive system.
Yep.
Are you saying that they're... Wait. Never mind. I do not wish to know.
Blizzard are not above poop jokes.
Do you know that skags vomit and crap out the same mouth?
I did not know that, actually. Huh. So we're probably going to lose our destroyer here in just a little bit. But we've got a strong enough ground force to actually take down this particular encampment. And if we bother to use Solar Lance, we'll probably push all the way through to the next one as well. But yeah, this force, despite having 30 units in it, is not honestly strong enough to go and win this mission on its own. Especially when we're getting attacked at home like this.
Right, because it's still a StarCraft game that even though the priority is over there where the arrow is, where it's getting closer to the target little by little. I mean, it's not quite as epic as Mew versus Mewtwo, but I mean, it's still, there's a lot of dudes over
Mewtwo
there.
Specifically was orbs clashing, so.
But one could just not quite overpower the other. The original could not defeat the forgery.
Cold is the void. We're trying, damn it.
Confrontation draws to a close, Malash. Soon everyone will know the depth of your treachery.
Alright. That's not the one that I want. I want warp and reinforcements. Thank you.
And in true StarCraft fashion, as you were describing to me, the mission gets more difficult for you, just as, conversely, on the opposite side of the board, the mission is getting more difficult for the AI to overcome you because of the accumulation of resources problem that's going on.
No. The AI doesn't have to worry about fucking resources, ever.
No, I mean your resources. Their accumulation of resources is, like you were describing to me, that they could just start spawning hybrids anytime they want, versus, and more sporadically, like at the start of the mission, where I haven't seen that many hybrids yet.
That's true. No, but we're not quite at the 15-minute mark yet, so. Oh, there's some hybrids. See?
They're the hybrids.
Also, they can spawn out carriers. I'm pretty sure they have to pay for carriers. I don't know if they have to pay for hybrid or not. Also, my stalkers decided to go and pull forces from that northern encampment, which is why we end up losing this fight.
This does not strike me as a mission in which you want to lose any fights.
I had to use Solar Lance in order to attempt to survive, but I don't think it's enough, to be perfectly honest.
Expending Solar Ray in lieu of using your crystal costing units also is going to give you an edge during this.
Right about one thing, Malash. I will lead them. Again, Alarak's performance is great. I just hate the fucking character.
Well, you gotta give the guy credit. He sure knows how to put on a show for being the bad guy.
Kill the carrier. They shouldn't be able to. I killed that stronghold already.
There. You were saying?
He was saying, and then we pushed him into the pit of sacrifice. Like so.
Rak'Shir is now complete.
Tal'Darim, by the right of Rak'Shir, I am your High Lord.
Listen and obey.
Malash promised you lies. There is no ascension. The Tal'Darim will never be uplifted and become hybrid.
Mostly because that's not how hybridization works.
Betrayed us. And for this,
He must die.
Yay!
Yay, we have a new
Fuck
despot.
Yay!
And in the next episode, the consequences of Rak'Shir. Be safe, everybody.